I am on my comfy couch and I'm going to do some more of my temperature blanket. Now that I have this all set up, I'm streaming right now from my couch. I'm going to work on my temperature blanket. I am on June 21st. I need to try to catch up on this. So I'm going to go ahead and just start knitting up my temperature blanket. And I'm going to later knit up my custom. So right now, let's get started on the temperature blanket. Let's try to get caught up. Okay. Now, this is how long it is. It's really, really, really long. So I'm just going to go ahead and start knitting. Okay, so let's do this. Let's see. My scissors. All right, my pencil. All right. So I'm on 621. Woo! I'm using the color wine. I am on June 21st, 92 Fahrenheit. I'm going to use the color wine. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it on and just start knitting. Using the color wine, new color. Just adding that on. I'm going to continue knitting all the way across. Okay. I'm knitting to the end of row 1 and I'm using the color wine. Now I'm going to continue knitting all the way across for row 2. I'm going to knit all the way across to the end. My coffee is so cold. Coffee and knitting. I am knitting to the end of row 2, the color wine. Tie my knot for a second time. And now I'm ready to start my new day. Oh, yes. New color, new color, new color, new color. New color. Ooh. Let's go. Okay. June 22nd, we're at 96 Fahrenheit and we get to use the new color. So I'm going to use the color toffee. Let's go ahead and add that on. Just cutting off the end here. Okay. Adding on toffee. Not coffee, but toffee. As I drink my coffee. All right. Adding on toffee. Tie my knot once to secure it, and then continue knitting all the way across. I'm knitting to the end of row 1. The colors are just looking so nice. I love this color combination. Like the colors just look so nice. Look at that. Look at that. How beautiful. I'm going to continue knitting for row 2 with toffee. These colors look so nice. It depicts the temperature very, very well. Just knitting across again. June 22nd, 96 Fahrenheit, just to the end of row 2. And then I can go ahead and start my new day. Tie my knot a second time. Okay. Now let's see what's next. Perfect. June 23rd, 93 Fahrenheit. Let's just cut off the toffee. I'm going to add on wine. So we're back to wine. We're in the 90s. Let's just add that to row 1. Gonna knit all the way across. Tie my knot once, and then I'll tie it again when I come back. June 23rd, I just finished knitting to the end of row 1, 93 Fahrenheit. The colors are on fire. All these hot, hot colors for the 90s. It's looking fabulous. And now I'm just going to go ahead and knit all the way across in wine for row 2. All right, so I'm on June 24th. That is 84 Fahrenheit. So I'm switching yarns to the Varsity Red right here. Varsity Red. Just adding on the Varsity Red. I'm cutting off the wine. Adding on Varsity Red. Knitting all the way across for row 1. Tying my knot once. Continue knitting all the way across. Just knitting all the way across to the end. June 24th, 84 Fahrenheit. I'm knitting to the end of row 1 for Varsity Red. So we switch back up from 90 to 80 again. So I'm just going to knit to the end and then continue knitting for row 2 in the Varsity Red. So I'm just going to continue knitting all the way across to the end. June 24th, 84 Fahrenheit, just knitting to the end of row 2 in varsity red. So we drop from 90 Fahrenheit to 80. So let's see what our new day will bring for our temperature. Just tying a second knot. All right. Let's see. Ah, nice. June 25th. I do not need to change my yarn. 87 Fahrenheit. I'm going to knit all the way across to the end in varsity red. It really amazes me at the temperature jumps. Like the 23rd was like the 22nd, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So the 21st, 22nd, 23rd was in the 90s. 24th back down to 84. And then the 25th we're at 87 Fahrenheit. And we're using our varsity reds. All right. It's fluctuating, but we're keeping it strong in the heated hot colors. June 25th, 87 Fahrenheit, just continued knitting for row 1 with varsity red. Now I will go ahead and finish out row 2 and I'll be all set for another day. Let's see where the temperature brings us. So I'm just going to go ahead and knit all the way across. June 25th, 87 Fahrenheit. I'm using varsity red. I'm just knitting to the end of row 2 right now. Okay. So for these last few rows, I've been using varsity red. We went down from 90 to 80. The colors look fabulous. All right, let's continue on to our next row. All right, let's see what's next. All right. Let's go. June 26th, we're back up in the 90s. So it's 93 Fahrenheit, and we're continuing on with the color wine. So let's cut off varsity red. And let's add on wine. So I'm adding on the color wine, and I'm just going to continue knitting all the way across for row 1. So we're back up in the 90s. Let's continue knitting all the way across in wine. I'm going to tie this knot once, and then when I come back, I will tie it again. I'm just going to continue knitting. June 26th, 93 Fahrenheit. I'm almost done with row 1. We're back up at the 90s. And now I'm going to continue knitting all the way across for row 2. Just knit all the way across. June 26, 93 Fahrenheit. We went back up in the 90s. I'm just finishing the second row with the color wine. I'm going to tie my knot for a second time to secure it. And then I'm going to start a new day and see what the temperature is. All right. June 27th, we dropped back down. So for June 27th, we're at 86 Fahrenheit, which means we're going to use varsity red. Just add on the color red. We're adding on varsity red. I'm just going to knit all the way across to the end. Just knit all the way across. I'm going to tie my knot once. June 27, 86 Fahrenheit. We drop back down into the 80s. I'm just knitting with varsity red, finishing out row 1. And I'm just going to finish knitting row 2 all the way across until we get to our new day. June 27th, 86 Fahrenheit. So we drop back down to the 80s. I'm using varsity red. So I just finished knitting in the varsity red. I'm going to tie my knot twice here, tie it a second time. And let's see what the temperature brings for the next day. So let's get started. June 28, we dropped again and we're at 82 Fahrenheit. So let's cut off the varsity red. We're going to add on the color rust. So let's add on rust. I'm just going to knit all the way across for row 1. I'm going to tie my knot once. And I'm going to continue knitting all the way across to the end. June 28th, 82 Fahrenheit. The temperature dropped, so I'm using the color rust, and I'm knitting to the end of row 1. And I'm going to go ahead and knit all the way across for row 2. Look at those colors. I'm going to knit all the way across to the end. The colors look absolutely fabulous. I just love them. June 28, 82 Fahrenheit. I'm using the color rust. I'm just finishing up row 2. Secure my knot at the end. And let's see what the temperature is for the new day. June 29th, we went back up to the 90s. We are at 90 Fahrenheit, which means we're going to use the color deep red. So let's cut off the rust. June 29th, 90 Fahrenheit. Let's use the deep red. Okay. Adding on deep red and knitting all the way across for row 1. I'm going to secure my knot. And I'll continue knitting. Continue knitting all the way across. June 29th, I'm knitting to the end of row 1. We keep fluctuating from the 80s, 90s, back and forth. June 29th, 90 Fahrenheit. I'm just knitting to the end of row 1 for deep red. Almost done knitting to the end using deep red. I'm going to knit all the way across for row 2 in deep red all the way to the end. Just continue knitting. June 29th, 90 Fahrenheit. We're using that deep red, and I am almost done row 2. I'm going to secure my knot one more time. And let's see what the new day brings us and what the temperature is. We are on June 30th, the last day, and we are at 92 Fahrenheit, which means I'm using the color wine. Let's cut off the color deep red. Let's add on the color wine. I'm going to continue knitting all the way across for row 1. Secure my knot once. And I'll just knit all the way across. Yes, the end of June. We did it. Yay. June 30th, 92 Fahrenheit. We jumped up again in temperature. I'm just knitting row 2 now in the color wine. So I'm going to knit all the way across to the end. June 30th. I just finished knitting row 2. Now I can tie the end of my knot, and this completes the month of June. Now we can continue on to July. The colors look absolutely fabulous. It's very vibrant, as you can see, and we are using the deeper colors because the temperature has been getting into the 90s, but then we drop down to the 80s. So for more knitting, like, subscribe, and I'll see everyone next time.